Hello, welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. I'm your host, Bubbs. Today is Tuesday, July 9th. Hopefully everybody is having a good day so far. Today, another day closer to the start of NFL and New York Jets training camp. Another day closer to the regular season. I think this past Sunday, I might have mentioned it yesterday on the podcast, but I think this past Sunday officially marked 9 Sundays away from the start of the NFL season, week number 1. So coming up here, it'll be 8 Sundays. And as each Sunday gets closer and closer, as each Sunday goes by, we get closer and closer to the start of the NFL regular season. This is episode 322 of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. I thank you as always for joining me. And today we've got another New York Jet that landed in the top 10 NFL position rankings. Yesterday, we discussed Breece Hall. He was ranked number 2 in a ranking created by ESPN, put together by league executives, coaches, and scouts. Those 3 groups of NFL people come together, create these top 10 lists. They also have a couple honorable mentions. And another New York Jet today, they did defensive tackles, and Quinnen Williams found himself on this top 10 list. And he found himself in the same exact spot as Breece Hall, as he was ranked number 2. So wanted to do a quick episode today discussing Quinnen Williams, where he stands, give you some numbers, and of course the rest of the list as well. Now, before we get into today's podcast, I want to tell you about our podcast sponsor, podcast partner, Huga House. They just released 10 brand new hats. So head on over to Huga House, click the link in the description down below. When you get to the Huga House store, you will be able to shop from a wide range of hats. You can get the one I'm wearing right now, or any of the ones that Aaron Rodgers wears, and even Shane Gillis, who actually is wearing the same one that I'm wearing right now. And when you're over at Huga House, you find a hat that you like, and at checkout, use promo code BUBS for 15% off your purchase. Get yourself some Huga House swag and help support the podcast as well. Now let's get into today's podcast. So as mentioned yesterday, ESPN right now, this time of year, I say it every episode, but this time of year, it's the rankings time of year where everybody puts out their player rankings, position ranking, team rankings, because it's the slowest period of the NFL offseason, slowest period of the NFL calendar year. Everyone's putting their rankings out there, putting it out there into the airwaves before the season starts, so we can look back on all this and see who was right, see who was wrong, all that different stuff. So ESPN is doing their rankings right now through ESPN Plus, and they're taking NFL coaches, executives, and scouts from around the league and compiling top 10 lists from each position. So yesterday, they started with running backs. Breece Hall, we talked about it. If you missed the episode, definitely go check it out. We discussed Breece Hall. He was ranked number 2 among the top 10 running backs, only behind the 49ers is Christian McCaffrey. Today, they released their interior defensive linemen, defensive tackles, and Quinnen Williams found himself in the top 10 list, and he found himself exactly behind Chris Jones, exactly in the same spot Breece Hall found himself in at number 2, this time behind Kansas City Chiefs' defensive tackle, Chris Jones. So I'll throw it up here on the screen for the YouTube audience. This was the full top 10 list with their honorable mentions. So Chris Jones was 1, Quinnen Williams was 2, Dexter Lawrence was 3. So 2 New York players right there, number 2 and number 3. Jeffrey Simmons was number 4. Justin Matabuke was number 5. Christian Wilkins, number 6. Derek Brown, number 7. Number 8 was DeForest Buckner. Number 9, Kenny Clark. Number 10, Javon Hargrave. And they did 6 honorable mentions. Those were Vita Vea, Jonathan Allen, Jalen Carter, Deron Payne, Cam Hayward, and Christian Barmore. So similar to Breece Hall, Quinnen Williams finds himself in elite company. And I think if you're a Jets fan, you've got to be happy to see Quinnen Williams near the top of this list. And Chris Jones, obviously number 1. I think you could make the case for maybe Quinnen Williams if you want to make the case, say he's better than Chris Jones. But I think most people would agree. Chris Jones, with Aaron Donald now being out of the league. Forever now, Aaron Donald has been the number 1 defensive tackle, which is kind of weird with these rankings. Aaron Donald retiring opens up the rankings a little bit for everybody to kind of move up a spot, because If Aaron Donald was still in the league, Quinnen Williams would probably be number 3. Everybody would move down a spot. Chris Jones would probably be number 2. But with Chris Jones 1, I think you totally agree if you're an NFL fan and if you're a Jet fan with Quinnen Williams in number 2. And I think you got to be happy if you're a Jet fan. While these are just rankings, these don't really matter from actual on-the-field success. The Jets are getting a little bit of respect here these last couple days in the rankings because, as I talked about yesterday, a lot of times people with it being the Jets and, everyone's like, oh, same old Jets, and they don't always actually say factual things on the talent, don't actually kind of, I guess, in a way, rate the Jets' talent the right way. It's good to see Quinnen Williams find himself on near the top of this list, and they're totally right. He is. He's one of the elite defensive tackles in the NFL. 2-time Pro Bowler, a first-team All-Pro. When you look at his career numbers, 75 career games played, 253 total tackles, 33 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, 42 stuffs, 61 total stuff yards. And when you look at what he did last year, coming off of a huge 2022 season where he had 12 sacks, and it was a career-high monster season, officially put himself into an elite category among defensive tackles. He got his 4-year contract extension, well-deserved. He went into last year. The sack production was a little bit down, but still had a very productive year from a pressure standpoint, from affecting the quarterback, from a stopping standpoint, which has been a little bit of a weakness for this New York Jets defense. Not something that that Quinnen Williams struggles with. He has been one of the better run stoppers on this team. He was still able to do a lot of really good things, and his numbers last year were still impressive. 62 total tackles, 5.5 sacks, 15.5 stuffs, 25 stuff yards. Both of those were actually career highs. And when you look at some of the other numbers when it comes to Quinnen Williams, he had 29 incompletions created by his pass rush. That ties him with Chris Jones for the best in the NFL last year. He also had a 38% run-stop win rate, which was tied for second at the position, and his 29 pressures ranked 4th among interior rushers. So while you have those similar to Breece Hall, you'll have these people that are these box score warriors, as I came up with that name yesterday, that'll look at the numbers and just look at the sacks and say, 5.5 sacks, that's not a productive year. That's not number 2 defensive tackle. But when you watch this guy play, and when he still gets to the quarterback, he still racks up the pressures, very good against the run. And this is also a guy, too, that eats up a ton of double team and triple teams, and still is able to make an impact, still has numbers right up there with some of the elite and some of the best in the NFL. He's an elite pass rusher. He's one of the best in the league. Well-deserved here to be ranked number 2 on this list from ESPN by coaches, executives, and scouts. And you hope this year with Jermaine Johnson continuing to emerge, you hope with Hassan Reddick being a threat, a guy that can easily go off for 10-plus sacks in his own, you hope that maybe some of the attention goes away from Quinnen Williams with those 2 edge rushers. Jermaine Johnson only getting better and Hassan Reddick, of course, being added. I think you could see Quinnen Williams potentially put up even bigger numbers this year than he put up last year because so much attention was on him last year. And also, again, this goes back to the Jets playing with leads this year. The Jets will be playing with more leads. That's an opportunity for Quinnen Williams and all these guys to up their sack production, to put themselves in these categories, to continue to elevate their game because they'll be able to get home to the quarterback. They're going to be passing a lot in games, late in games now, because the Jets are going to have leads. They're not just going to run down your throat in the second half, holding on to a lead. The Jets will be playing with a lot more leads, and that'll allow the defensive line, guys up front like Quinnen Williams, to continue to get home. So Quinnen Williams ranked number 2 on this list. Jets continue to get some respect. A lot of people want to, when you're on the Jets, they don't always give you the credit you deserve, and rightfully so. This has been an organization that's been very bad for a very long time, but 2 days in a row now, not quite sending a message to the NFL, but 2 days in a row now, the New York Jets have found themselves number 2 on this list, with Breece Hall yesterday, Quinnen Williams today. 2 elite players at their position. 2 guys that are dominant for this team, one of which just got a long-term extension last year, of course, Quinnen. Another one that'll be looking for one soon in Breece Hall. And 2 homegrown talent, too. 2 homegrown guys. Quinnen in 2019. Crazy is already entering his 6th season. And, of course, Breece Hall entering year 3. And that's another thing, too, with Quinnen Williams that I want to bring up. You know, when you make the comparison to Quinnen Williams and Chris Jones, the age difference is pretty wide there, too. You know, Quinnen's just 26. Chris Jones is 30. He just turned 30, actually, the day before 4th of July. So my point is, like, Quinnen's already near that level, and he's still getting better. He's in that prime. He's still getting better. There is a good chance a couple years from now, Quinnen Williams will be on that level of like a Chris Jones. He's almost already there, but what I'm saying is 4 years younger than Chris Jones, and he's already almost on his level. And that's something too that's super impressive is the age of Quinnen Williams. He's young. He's just entering the prime. While Chris Jones is 30, kind of in his prime, eventually will near the end. So that'll do it. Once again, head on down to the link in the description down below. Click that link. Use promo code BUBS for 15% off your any purchase at Huga House. Get yourself some swag, either the hat I'm wearing right now, any of the hats that Aaron Rodgers wears, even Shane Gillis, or Shohei Ohtani, JT Realmuto, division rival Josh Allen, Tyler Conklin. Tons of athletes and celebrities rock the Huga House hat. So get on over, use promo code BUBS for 15% off your purchase, and get yourself some swag. That'll do it for another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. Let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on Quinnen Williams' ranking. And as these rankings continue to come out, we'll make more episodes if any other Jets land up near the top. I'm assuming Sauce Gardner will probably be number 1. Quincy Williams will probably be up there. CJ Mosley will probably be up there for linebackers. Garrett Wilson, we'll see where he stands. Offensive lineman, we'll see where some of the Jets stand. So some other names out there that we could discuss here in the coming days. So stay tuned. Until then, Jets, Jets, Jets.